Hello, it's Burgess Taylor from Journey with Burgess, and today's coffee chat is going to be a combination of things. We're going to talk about brain dumps, and then we're going to talk about bullet journaling and Hobonichi, and how I'm back in the omnijournal, and I am back in the omnijournal. Thanks to Ryder Carroll's The Bullet Journal Method book, and what I've learned from David Allen's Get Things Done book, I'm finally kind of putting into action some of the things that I've learned over the past few years and really putting them into action. First, let's talk about a brain dump. Your brain is for thinking. It's for processing ideas. It's not for storage. And when you have a whole lot of ideas floating around in your head, they tend to end up leaving you with brain fog, at least for me. Things are tumbling around in there and it gets kind of foggy because I have so many ideas that they're fighting for attention, and my mental energy is going into the storing them in my brain, keeping them kind of organized in my brain. Well, you know, I've got this to do, and wait a minute, I've got that to remember. I need to be here on this day. I've got this idea about a story. I've got this idea about a video. I've got all these things, and then because I've got all these ideas in my head, I can end up being overwhelmed with all the ideas. I can end up really anxious about all the ideas and really excited about all the ideas. And I have ADHD. So what happens is I end up distracted by a shiny new idea or by an old idea that I remember. And if I don't write it down, I'm either going to forget it because I have all these other thoughts in my head, or I'm not going to be able to clarify things because I'm going to be distracted by all the other ideas that I have. So even if I remember it later, I may not remember it in time to get things done the way that I really wanted to get things done. So let's talk about what a brain dump is, essentially. So I kind of covered why. Let's cover how we brain dump. A brain dump is just throwing all of your ideas, all of those thoughts that are rambling around in your brain onto paper. And all you really need to do a brain dump is pen and paper, pencil and paper. I tend to do a brain dump right in my journal. If it's more of a personal brain dump, if I've got a lot of ideas and they're more personal in nature, they kind of end up in my more personal journal, but normally they're like all random ideas. So I tend to do a brain dump pretty much about every other day. I definitely do one at least once a week when there are a lot of ideas tumbling around and I haven't had a chance to really organize my thoughts out on paper. It doesn't have to be organized. It doesn't have to be pretty. Because I do this on a pretty regular basis, it really helps me kind of organize my thoughts. Well, I also do brainstorming, and brainstorming is a bit different. Brainstorming is where you have one particular big thing. Like say you've got a new idea for a novel, or you've got a new idea for how you want to set up a notebook, or you've got a new idea for an art project you're working on. You have this big idea, and you need to kind of formulate and organize all the thoughts around that big idea. So I do brainstorming for novels, for projects and things like that, for DIY projects at home, for all of those things. And when I do a brainstorm, like I said, a brainstorm is where I have that one central idea and a whole lot of ideas that go with that. And I'll do a brainstorming session about that idea and I write everything down. When I do brain dumps and when I do brainstorming, I tend to go back and read over everything, and I'll highlight things, circle things that are important, and then I go in and I do some mind mapping for it. Now, if I'm doing a brain dump and the brain dump is about, and it has a lot of ideas about a certain topic, I'll kind of break those topics down into more of a central theme, and that way I can kind of figure out where my actionable steps are going to be. This happened recently when I was reading Ryder Carroll's The Bullet Journal Method. Now, I've been bullet journaling on and off for a while now, for a couple years, and I realized when I was reading his book, after I read it the first time all the way through, when I was reading it that first time, I was doing some things wrong. My focus was sort of in the right place, but my attention to detail and my reviewing and reevaluating things wasn't quite the way that it ought to be. I'm not saying that there's only one way to bullet journal, but I am saying that what he said in his book really made a lot of sense to me, and I realized where I was making some mistakes. I was making some mistakes with rapid logging. I was making mistakes when it came to how I review things and how I go back in, and I wasn't reviewing things nearly enough. I wasn't going back through and evaluating some of the things that I had done, some of the things that I hadn't done, things that had worked, things that hadn't worked. I've had issues with tracking. I've had issues with making these collections and then them not really using them at all. Same with the tracking. And I realized that maybe some of it is that I'm doing it the wrong way for me. Some of it is that I'm not going back and reviewing and going back and forth and looking at things from the point of view of, hey, this worked, but this thing right here didn't work, and what can I do to make it work? Or is it something I need to let go of altogether? As I've been going back through his book and actually taking notes. So when I started going back through the book, after I did the brain dump and I worked on what I thought would actually work, and I put some things down on paper that got some of these thoughts cleared out of my head, I actually did go through and I have been taking notes. And where I'm at right now would be, I'm in this portion. This is how he says that traditional journaling looks like, and this is the rapid logging version. And this is what mine actually normally looks like. Traditional journaling, where I make to-dos and I write down things that I have to do or little notes. For my actual to-dos, I can do this. The rapid logging makes a lot of sense to me now that it's actually been explained. And he talks about topics and paginations, and this is the bullets themselves and things like that. So that's where I'm at now, is going through some of this to further enhance what I'm doing. Even though my Hobonichi is falling apart, I put it in the Traveler's Notebook because the journal that I have for here, I'm still setting up, to be honest. I'm still setting it up. I've got to get some packing tape and put on here. Washi tape, for some reason, will not stick to this stuff. This is what I'm setting up for my personal stuff, and this I'm not actually going to start using until December 1st. And I'm going to come back to this in a moment because this is going to go in one of the Traveler's Notebooks. What I'm doing is this will actually go in here in this Traveler's Notebook when December starts. What I've been doing is figuring out how to actually bullet journal, because I started, like, this is what my normal list looks like. Read rapid logging section of book. So this is after I kind of started trying to implement on Sunday, yesterday, when I started, and I still wrote down a little bit extra, and like right here, I still wanted to write 4 because I'm thinking I'm just writing down things, and I know I have to get better at making my time more efficient. So that's what this is about for me, is really about making my time more efficient. I put my top 5 things up here. Like, for example, call the eye doctor, make an appointment. I called, I ended up having to leave a message. So if I don't hear back from them by this afternoon, I'll put it back on my list for tomorrow. Tomorrow I have the internet tech guy coming so that he can increase my internet speed. And check that box to find out why our internet keeps being so wonky when we have poor weather. I have some things listed here that I have migrated from previous days, and that's where I'm at right now, is trying to kind of keep up with things. What I did in November, I wrote down a lot of the stuff on the calendar. Well, I won't be doing that for December. I will be writing anything that's an appointment or an event, something that is actually time sensitive, here. And then for the weekly, I have a few pieces of washi tape and a few stickers to kind of pop. I have this where I have my important things. I don't do meal. When I go grocery shopping, I think about the different meals I can cook for the next week. and I do shop that way. But when I make my meal plan, I don't make a meal plan ahead of time, because when I cook, it's a mood thing. Do we want such and such? Sometimes David will text me or message me if he's at work. Sometimes I kind of make plans knowing what days he's going to be off so I can cook certain things. But usually it's the night before or the morning, or in the morning when I get up, I'll go, oh, I want this today, based on what I bought at the grocery store. This is my weekly, and I do this planning ahead of time. And that's so that I can look at my week ahead and go, okay, I need to schedule an eye doctor appointment. I have something with my mom. This is really important, and different things. And then I can look at this after I put it down here on the weekly and look at my days and think, I have these things that need to be done this week. Some of the things I know are for a certain day. Other things, I just need to get them done throughout the week. And that's what this is for. So I'm actually doing bullet journaling in my Hobonichi. And I've tried it before, but I didn't have his book to go by. I had a bunch of different videos I'd watched and how other people were doing it. And in some of his videos, he explained some things, but this book really explains them down to the nitty-gritty. And it really helped me understand it. And I'm also listening to the audio version, and that's helping as well, because I'm a read it, write it, say it, see it, hear it kind of person. So I am using my Hobonichi to do bullet journaling. Now, my setup for next year, I've talked about it a little bit. I have the Hobonichi Avec, which I will be doing bullet journaling in. And I have decided, because the tracking is getting better, it's getting easier. So I'm going to choose my top things. I have room for 10 things I can track, and I will be tracking things here. I might write them down here so that I can do 3 important things. Maybe, I don't know, I might write the things right here and track this way. I haven't made up my mind. I'm still debating, because I have room to put down important things for each month up here, and that makes sense to me to do this like this. We'll see how I end up doing that. I'm still thinking about how I want to do this portion. Here's December's calendar, and then the weekly portion starts on December the 31st. This notebook, when I was originally thinking about how I wanted to set this up, I hadn't read Ryder Carroll's book yet. After reading Ryder Carroll's book and figuring out what I'm doing, this is going to actually be my collections. No, that's what I originally thought, and then I thought, well, maybe it would be for notes, and it may, and I'm probably going to do the notes in it as well. Plans for videos, projects, that kind of thing. Anything that is related to the actual planning will go in here. And this, if you've been following me for a long time, then you may remember when I was doing Hobonichi journaling and Hobonichi journaling, and then I ended up in an Omni journal. And I first heard about an Omni journal through either Romney or Miss Vicky B. It might have been Romney, I'm not sure, but the Omni journal is an everything journal. Omni means all, everything. So if you are doing multiple things in a journal, a bit of planning or bullet journaling, art, sketching, text journaling, different things like that, that would be what an Omni journal is. It's just where you combine various types of journaling, commonplace journaling, anything like that. I'm actually using the index this time. The other day I was watching a video from a vlog from Rowena of Sojourner, the folios and the traveler's notebooks, and she was talking to Bree from Documented Journey and Robin from Art Journal Girl, and they were talking about what they put on the first blank page of a journal, and that both of them said that they often put quotes. And Robin said she puts the same quote in all of her notebooks. Well, I have used that quote in a notebook, but I've not on the front page. I've used different quotes. I change things up every journal and use a different quote that's related to something I'm focusing on, or a journal in particular, or something like that. I like the Jack London quote that she talked about though, and I ended up putting it in my notebook in the Omni journal. Keep a notebook, travel with it, eat with it, sleep with it, slap into it every stray thought that flutters up in your brain. Cheap paper is less perishable than gray matter, and lead pencil markings endure longer than memory. And then on this page, I did what I called, it's my life journal is what this is, essentially, this Omni journal. And I took the little quote from the Hobonichi that says life book, because that's what this is pretty much going to be for me. And it's regular, like, everyday sort of life. It includes journaling and a little bit of planning stuff, like goals and different things. It is a little bit of art, some collage, all different kinds of things thrown into one journal. And I was going to start it in December, which is why I wrote December's goals. But then I started to do the calendar, and I realized that my other notebook only had like 10 pages or so in it, and that wasn't going to cover the rest of November. And I decided to just go ahead and start. So I put a November log, and that's what I'm doing here, because I don't need a calendar in here. And I found this and I put it in here. I really like what it says. I used what looks like autumn or fall washi tape that has the leaves in it and the fall colors. And this is where I'm at. So yesterday. So for today's, so I'm just kind of putting a little tiny log, and I can put an asterisk by something where I have some notes. So when I first started it, I started it last Thursday or Friday, I believe, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do, so I added my little to-dos and the weather, and added a few stickers, because I kind of wanted to just put some stuff in here. I wanted to figure out how I was going to do it, and I was putting to-dos and a quotes, and I saw a deer on the way to my mom's right when I got past the little bridge where my dad's property line starts, Saturday afternoon. And then Sunday afternoon, when I was on my way home, late Sunday afternoon, I saw another deer, a big buck, right before I left the section where my dad's property line ends. And then I think it was Friday morning, because that was last weekend when I saw, not this past weekend, but the weekend before when I went to my mom's, I saw a deer in our backyard. And I think that one was a doe though, but I ended up putting that picture, and I love how that looks, and I put a little quote. So I'm just kind of doing different things. I have to-dos and some notes and some quotes and things like that. And then this is the rest of Fridays. So it's more journaling stuff. And then I have Saturday, and I haven't finished that. There's a quote that I want to put, but I need to find the specific quote so I can put it in there. And this is where I did the brain dump. And I did the brain dump on the 9th, which was Friday, and that helped me so much, because I was figuring out how I could do everything so that it made sense. And here's Sundays, and this is the last day where I actually do really to-dos, because Sunday I started filming this stuff, because I ended up putting the video up on Patreon. Similar topic, same kind of thing, but a different video. And I really enjoyed doing some of what I was doing. This is the last day, like I said, where I actually did the to-dos. And then we have where I have the week. So I'm still writing down some of the things for this coming week. I will do this later this evening and write some things down, because there's still a couple of things I'm kind of figuring out for later on in the week. And then this is my shit that brings me joy list. So instead of a gratitude log, or a things that make me happy, people are doing all different kinds of things. And I was listening to one of the people that I follow and am a patron of, and she's doing something completely different than a gratitude log, but it is still things that you're grateful for, but everybody's doing the gratitude log. And as I started thinking about what she was saying, it hit me why my gratitude list sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And it's because sometimes what I'm grateful for, it seems a bit, I'm not sure what the word is, like limited. If I write down and I don't have it dated or anything, I just write down as things bring me joy. If I write those things down, most of the time if something's bringing me joy, I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for the fact that those kinds of things are what help me stay in a good mood. It's what helps me stay motivated, and some of those things are things that inspire me. Some of those things are things that keep my anxiety and depression, help me keep those things sort of in harmony and under control a bit. But I left myself 2 pages. And one of the things I wrote today was cinnamon and pecan special K cereal. I had that for breakfast this morning. We got it at the grocery store, and it is, oh my goodness, delicious. I love pecans, and I love cinnamon, and I wrote it down. And then this is today's page. So I have right here sort of to-dos, but completely different than what I have on previous pages. I don't have a list. I used this kind of stuff, and then I have to write, and I'm going to put my word count down. But for the coffee chat, that's what I put here. I have this to remind me to journal and to create art, which I have done. And now this is not the same as my sketch journal, my artist journal. That's different in there. You'll see I'm going to be doing some different things. I'm going to be filming that pretty soon, and YouTube will get the time-lapse version because I really want to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do something simple because I've got the new journal that I made, and I keep saying I'm going to journal in it, but I have yet to do it, and I don't know why. I think I'm afraid if I start using it, then it's going to end up falling apart like the last one, and I don't want it to fall apart. But I have to use it. I didn't make it to just sit and look at it. So we all have different things sometimes, and normally I'm not afraid to use a new journal at all. I love new journals. I love setting up new journals. So this is where I'm doing this kind, where I can write down a quote. If I listen to a video and somebody says something, I can write it down. If they recommend something, I can write it down. And then I can put a little asterisk or highlight it or something so that I can put it in my actual, what I guess would be the bullet journal collections part of the hey to look up or hey to buy, to research, that kind of stuff, recommendations by other people, whether it's a channel or a book, and then look it up. And I think I'm going to have to do a research this collection, and then a to buy a collection or something. I don't know. I don't want to start any collections until I really get to a point where I know I'm definitely going to use it. So I'm trying to limit my collections, because I have in the past set up collections, and then once I set them up and I put a few things down, then never looked at it again. And I don't want to make that mistake again. I've read his book. I know what he says about some of that, and I want things that I'm actually going to use and that are going to benefit me and make my life better, make my life easier, make my life more organized, and help make me more productive. That's where I'm at with this. That's all I have in here. This is a Taroko Design Enigma. It is one of the imperfect ones, and the only thing that I found that's wrong with it is that the dot grid is really light, which doesn't bother me because I have used a blank Enigma before and a blank Nanami Paper 7Cs. I don't mind the blank. I like the grid for figuring things out. Fortunately, this is not a journal where I'm going to be doing a lot of that kind of figuring things out. And this will make it easier if I do doodles in here and I want to scan them. It will be much easier to scan. Although I do have the blank Enigma for that. So this is the Omni journal. And the last thing I'm going to show you is this journal that I'm going to start using December 1st. If you've been following me for a while, then you know I am a big fan. Hold on. I'm a big fan of Jamie Ridler. I think she was one of the people that I suggested, recommended in the very first video I did about my favorite YouTubers. So I have put some collage bits on here. I like doing this stuff with some journals. I don't do it with every single journal, but I do like doing it with certain journals. And this says, Organized Magic, Making Your Planner Magical. That was a card I got from an Etsy store, and I liked it. I did the 19 out of a holographic number I had, and then a piece that came in, something that I ordered. Victor gave me some of these things. I made a little thing out of a flower and the little L feet. Just different things. So, I haven't completed this. I got the PDF for Jamie Ridler's Studio Yearbook, and I won't use the PDF printed out. I haven't printed it out. It's saved to my desktop, and I'm going through and setting up things how I will want, and this is for my creative life. So projects that I'm doing for creativity, whether they're home, personal, or work projects. So if it's a DIY home project, this is going to be a sort of combination of the mundane and the magical where creativity is concerned. This is her I guess it would be her mission statement for the studio yearbook. And I really love what she says. As you walk in for the first time or the 1000th time, may you feel welcome. May this be a place for you to discover, empower, and express your creative truth. May this be a place of inspiration, ideas, and possibility. Here, may you find your courage, your confidence, and your creativity. Here, may you discover that you are a creature of magic capable of great wonders. Here, may you know that your life is your studio and you are an artist. So what I've done here, she has had a page for winter where this starts in the winter. You're supposed to put a picture of yourself. So on December 1st, I will take a picture of myself and I will put it here. And this is, what do you love about winter? What winter things do you intend to enjoy this season? This is sort of like a project journal for each season. Although I'm pretty sure that at least 2 seasons will, maybe all 4 seasons will fit in here, because my daily journaling will not go in here. It's going to be done differently than most people will be doing theirs. Focus for the day and different things. That's probably going to go on these pages. I haven't started doing it really yet, but I will get to that point. And then what I have here, she has your focus areas, and she gives you a bunch of different areas, and you choose which focus areas you want. And I wrote mine down, and then I gave myself a place for notes, and I put quotes at the bottom of these. So these would be my winter projects and the focus area that it comes from. I've already made mistakes. I had to use whiteout, but that's okay. These are some of my winter projects. And then winter wonders. This winter I'm enjoying, and the different things that I'm enjoying. And then this is the December log. Now is my time to sparkle. What rocked this month? So instead of writing the log like I have in here, where these are the things that I've done or I'm doing, and things like that, this for me is going to be something that I got accomplished, something that I finished, something that made me feel proud of myself. Not the joy thing, because that's different, and I realize I'm doing a lot of this. So what are my priorities for December? What are my practices going? What are my projects? What are my intentions? And for practices, that could be anything from meditation, stretching, morning pages, walking every day, writing every day, all different kinds of things, all the way to, like, if you do your intentions and manifestation for moon phases and different things. And that's all I have in here so far, because I have been looking at how she does the daily pages, and I am about to start incorporating that into how I do my daily pages in the Omni journal. I am incorporating several different things into several different places because I want what really works for me. And I like the bullet journal method. I like Jamie Riddler, how she, what she's talked about with some of the things that she has. I didn't want to set the Omni journal up the way that I have this, because like I said, this is going to be more personal. It's just going to be a combination of the mundane and the magical. And some of the people on this YouTube channel don't want to see the magical. So this is going to include both, a bit of both. I may end up setting up some things and then transferring some of this stuff to my actual spiritual one. I haven't quite made up my mind. And then if I do that, then I will just cover up some of these pages, except for this, with collage bits, watercolor or something, and just do something completely different with this journal. I'm not above or beyond repurposing a journal. So that's where I'm at with everything and what I'm doing and how I have it. There are still a few things that I'm working on, like I have an A6 Hobonichi that I'm using. I actually have two this year, the English and the Japanese. I have the Japanese AVEC and the A6, but I have an A6 for next year, and I am figuring out what I really want to do with that, because I'm doing something completely different than what I originally was intending. So that's where I'm at with what I'm doing, and I'm going to go back to taking my notes for this. And I do have I did keep my notebook because my notes still have a lot of room in this one. I just need to figure out, as you can see, this is some of my notes for the bullet journal. That's my mental inventory. I gotta figure out where I want to put this. I have another traveler's notebook. I'm still figuring some things out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, y'all.